So before magazines and newspapers, stories and information were shared through families, by word of mouth, through generation. Lore was spread throughout the towns, and travelers spread gossip like wildfire. And it wasn't until print was mass produced where we started to have books and magazines and newspapers, and they were filled by bounded text. And there was a beginning and an end. Text expanded within these covers, they were limited within the confines, the containers of these print materials. And that's what we now call content. Content fills the container, the book, the newspaper, the magazine, the page, the article. And it wasn't until we started having newspapers and magazines that we really started having people have ownership of stories and information. And that's where a product was developed and an audience wanted to buy these products. Once the audience was created to buy this content, the starving advertisers of the 21st century were created. And magazines and some newspapers became obsessed with trying to convince advertisers that their magazine was the perfect place for advertisers to place their ad because they had a specific group of readers that they could influence. And if advertisers picked them, these magazines and newspapers made money. And magazines can't produce a magazine without funds. The writers, the editors, the illustrators, the graphic designers, the photographers, the printers, the publications, the distribution centers, the sourcing materials is so expensive. It was, and it still is. That's where digital is going to surpass print. Always. It's more cost effective and it's more efficient. And take a look around on a bus or a train or just any public space. People are glued to their phones because they know they can access information at their fingertips just on their phone. No one really thinks to pick up print anymore. And it's not surprising then that magazines have been declining for over the past 20 years. It's being replaced by a faster, newer, and less social hierarchical form of journalism. Allow for more voices and more points of view to be heard, which is a fantastic thing. Minorities and diverse groups are being able to share their voices and their stories and their passions more readily because of the cost effectiveness and the efficiency of digital media. However, after COVID, the past 3 years, we've been seeing more people wanting to distance themselves from their phone, from digital media. So bear with me for one moment. I have some statistics that I find are pretty interesting. Just bear with me. So magazines reached a massive audience in the US with over 223 million adults consuming print or digital content in 2024. And a surprisingly large amount of this readership was young adults between 18 and 24 years old, adding to that growing diverse readership. And more interesting, Black, Hispanic, and LGBTQ readers are picking up a print magazine more often than they are picking up a digital subscription of a magazine, where nearly 9 out of 10 Americans read magazines in print within the past 6 months. And 60% of the print magazine audience between the ages of 18 and 34 are finding print magazines more credible than online news media and magazines, mainly because it's becoming really hard to decipher what is real and what is not with AI. So I guess what my point is, everything created and printed must be true, right? That's for another video. There's a lot of online noise right now, especially with AI created content. It's just adding to the overstimulation we're already feeling from social media, and print is becoming even more attractive than ever. There's a certain charm and nostalgic associated with it. Something we saw come out of COVID was the rise of vinyl and record players, and a lot of millennials and Gen Zs are now interested in actively engaging and participating in authentic experiences, and that's something that came out of vinyl. And that's kind of how print and magazines are coming back. Print is something that it's created to live a life. It's physical, so it's meant to be kept and returned to. It's meant to be kept and be revisited and have this longevity that digital does not have. It will never maintain the crisp, perfect form it first came in. It's probably going to be crumpled and crushed and battered and be soaked at some point. But it tells a story, and each time someone comes in contact with print, they're going to leave their mark on it. They're going to probably scuff an edge or leave a fingerprint. And that's the beauty, that's the art form of print. There's this communication, there's this engagement that happens with print that can't happen with anything digital. And if print is worthwhile, you're gonna save it, even if it's not in its perfect form. How many menus do you keep in your kitchen drawer somewhere? They're not the most beautiful thing on the planet. They're probably not the most perfect menu. And print doesn't need to be perfect. And as a designer, I'm saying that. Print doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be more effective and more memorable than digital is. And that's where design comes in. Right now, there's never been a better time for independent publishers and independent magazines to interact with new readers and reconnect with old readers because of its simple interface of just flipping a page of a magazine. There's an extra level of value being added to magazines, just simply because it's not a screen. That's the tactile part of print. People want to engage with print. They want to be immersed in print. And it's a unique connection that is fostered between the reader, the content, and its container. And in recent years, we've seen all of these independent magazines and publications pop up where they have their own distinct voices and their own authenticity to them, that they want to explore these niche topics and offer refreshing alternatives to what we're seeing in mainstream media, and provide some ownership to these voices. And they're not just about content, they're about creating a community that, yes, we see online, but adding credibility to them. And they're collecting like-minded individuals, and they're fostering a sense of belonging and a shared passion. So I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of print, and I mentioned topic. I want to focus more in depth on other videos of diving into demographics and minority voices in print. And I'm not all-knowing on print. I was born after Google, and before social media was created. So I'm still learning about this all, and I'm going to link all of my sources for you all to dive deeper into. But my main message is that let's support these indie publication and magazine companies that are creating physical content that you can either purchase or subscribe or share with a friend, and together we can ensure that print will survive. And of course, I will share a couple magazines that I love, and I'm planning on doing another video on my favorite magazines, but that's for another time. As always, if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you would like to follow along and learn with me, please hit subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.